beep, beep. Morning. How the devil are we? 'Tis, as one says, Sunday. And it's a very important day today for me because I'm seeing the Warrior Teachers. And that is always a good thing. Today's subject is pseudoscience and anti-science and science. That's what we're going to be looking at today. All sorts of things to discuss on that front. If you want to join us, please come and do. Links in the doobers as usual. Other than that, please like, share, and yeah, the usual. Buy me a coffee if you can help out. Keep me going, please. And yes. Oh, so I'm really pleased, actually, just before I dig into the bloody NHS once more. Thank you very much for the lovely comments about the article yesterday about the history of the lie of gender identity, taking us from way back when, John Money, and bringing us up to date with Palmer. This is obviously a sort of adjunct to that. It adds a bit of something, because as we can now see, it looks like the NHS has been spending more than 100 million a year on transgender treatments, enough to hire 2,500 nurses. It's absolutely beyond the pale. Imagine this. If somebody go back 15 years, yesterday when I was young, go back 15 years, right? Dusty was still there, wasn't she? Never mind. Go back 15 years, and somebody comes to you and says, you're having a coffee in the morning, and whispers in your ear, here, in 15 years' time, from the West Country, obviously, in 15 years' time, the NHS here, they'll be spending 100 million pounds on chopping up people's bodies in the belief that you can make a man a woman and a woman a man. You'd have turned around, choked on your coffee and gone, go away, you silly person. But here we are, 100 million pounds a year on transgender treatments. In a report here in the Daily Fail from Sean Wooler and Billy Bowkett. Now, yes, let's just dig in, because I read it and I couldn't believe it. Now, it is the Daily Fail, so bit of skepticism might be okay, although it looks to me like it's a very well researched article. The NHS spends as much on controversial transgender treatments as it does on common antidepressants, penicillins, or beta blockers, that the Mail on Sunday can reveal. This is utterly insane. Figures obtained under Freedom of Information legislation show the NHS spent an eye-watering 250 million in the past 5 years on surgical and non-surgical procedures for trans, non-binary, and gender-questioning patients in England. Right. So first thing, for surgical and non-surgical procedures. Now, by that, I presume they mean titty skittles. Do they? Or do they mean therapy? Probably therapy as well. Yes? Yes? Somebody will tell me out there, some NHS nerd. Now, wait for it, because this is the bit that really gets my goat. Surgical and non-surgical procedures for trans, non-binary, and gender questioning patients. I think that non-binary. These people that's the most dangerous one of all, isn't it? Get your nullification surgery. We'll give you a pudenda as smooth as the driven snow. It's white as driven snow, isn't it? Smooth as a baby's bottom. No, that's absolutely wrong altogether. Don't juxtapose those two things. But non-binary, absolute nonsense. In the first 10 months of 2024-25 alone, the figure was 88 million. Up a fifth on the previous 12 months. This has to stop. All of it. There should not be one penny spent on this nonsense on the NHS. Not one. I think whatever somebody says, it doesn't matter how old they are, I'm a girl, I'm a boy, or I'm a man, I'm a woman. The first time somebody says that, they should be forced to read my article I put out yesterday, research it and make sure it's correct, and then come back and ask for the same thing again with a straight face. Right? That's what I think. It then says, for that sum, the NHS could prescribe almost 30,000 people with weight loss jabs, that saves lives, or hire around 2,500 nurses. And data suggests spending on transgender treatments is now more than 100 million a year. Well, the annual NHS bill for standard antidepressants is 91.5 million. That's a problem in itself. For penicillin, it is 83 million. That's a good thing, right? And for beta blockers, it's 73 million. Makes us all sound like we're on the verge of collapse, doesn't it? Instead of saying, are you well, we should say, and what current medication are you on? That's how it feels in my life, anyway. Don't know about the rest of you. Well, I do, because most of you are bloody old like me. So you know what I mean. Amazing. The amount spent on transgender treatments is close to what it would cost to supply all 1,000 women in England and Wales who would benefit from Enhertu, a drug that would give women with advanced breast cancer an extra 6 months of life. Because it costs about £118,000 per patient, it was turned down by the NHS last year for being too expensive. The 250 million figure for transgender treatments over the past 5 years is likely to be much higher because for the first 3 years of the data, surgical interventions are excluded. That's the expensive bit, isn't it? You want a tablet, and once the tablet's been researched and all the stuff money that's gone into it discovering what it does, then over time, it like you can get an aspirin, a pack of aspirins for about 80p, can't you now? Surgery, not quite the same thing. Don't really scale, does it, the more you do? You still got surgeon, a couple of nurses, another doctor, anaesthetist, room that looks like when I had my operation, it was during COVID. So there was none of this going in a small room, getting the injection, passing out, so you didn't see what went on. I had to go in on my own into the operating room, which looked to me, because you've got a table with the, you put your arms out and all that. It looked like, one of these horrible things from a film where they're going to put you down. But it was like the Starship Enterprise. It was like, oh my God, this is amazing. That's got to be the expensive bit. At least 69 million of it was spent treating children and young people, with surgery data again omitted between 2021 and 2022 and 2023. What were they doing? We need to know. The figure also excluded the cost of epilation, removing hair by the root using a laser and prescribing patients with gender-affirming hormones. Well, so that doesn't include gender-affirming hormones, for the love of God. See? That's when you do a cold reading, you end up surprised by a simple paragraph. Fiona McKenna, Director of Communications at human rights charity Sex Matters, got a wonderful ring fee. Fiona McKenna, hey McKenna, Director of Campaign at human rights charity Sex Matters, said 250 million is an obscene amount for the NHS to spend on experimental, often dangerous surgeries for people who want to look more like the opposite sex. Stephanie Davis-Arai, go Steph, of Transgender Trend, added, NHS England's job is to treat medical problems, yet they are creating medical problems where none previously existed. To spend so much on damaging people's bodies for no evidence reasons is unacceptable, and in the case of children, unconscionable. In other words, what they are causing is iatrogenic harm. Good word, iatrogenic. You can always look it up. Grok it. Who says Google it anymore? I saw yesterday, innit? Google it. What do you mean? You don't Google it, you grok it. Ooh. Grok it. The revelations come after the government last year banned puberty blockers for under 18s due to the unacceptable safety risk, following a report by paediatrician Baroness Cass into gender care services for children. Far too many loopholes in that report now, wasn't there? Last week, the NHS announced a 10 million study into gender care, including puberty blockers. Yep, well, we're going to do for that, I'm afraid. Data obtained by the MOS, the Mail, on Sunday, reflects the massive rise in reported gender dysphoria, with 5,000 referrals to the NHS Gender Identity Development Service for Children, GIDS, in 2021-22 compared to 250 in 2011 and 12. Referrals to GIDS between January and March 2024 alone were 4,121, and there are now an astonishing 16,270 on the GIDS waiting list. Shut the whole thing down. A study of GP records in January recorded a 50-fold increase over 10 years in children and young people in England and in... Sorry, that's just in England. Oh, my God. With a diagnosis of gender dysphoria. Yet what's going on there? Why are you diagnosing people with something that doesn't exist? Just asking. How can you be dysphoric of something? Gender doesn't exist, so how can you be just... anyway, I know there's something that people have. It's just I don't think it belongs in this sort of galaxy of absurdity that is gender identity. Anyway, you go read the rest of it, because it's just utter insanity on a grand scale, and I think we just need to shut the whole damn thing down, because it's hurting everybody, let alone the hurt that gender identity and everything else that comes under that ridiculous critical social justice EDI banner is doing to society. End the bloody lot, I say. Are you with me, people of the tinterwebs? All right, you don't have to. Go read. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.